Every person who has ever achieved greatness started by doing one thing. They refused to play small any longer. They made a decision so final, so absolute, that the old version of them no longer had a seat at the table. Playing small is not humility, it is self-betrayal. It is hiding your gift while the world suffers without it. This ends now. Not tomorrow, not when it's convenient, but now. Today you choose expansion over comfort, growth over safety, destiny over doubt. You must decide with ruthless clarity what you are here for. Until you declare your purpose, life will continue to toss you around like a leaf in the wind. Decide, lock it in, burn the alternative. Those who win do not entertain Plan B. They know who they are and where they're going, and they never apologize for it. This is the beginning of your authority over your own life. Stop shrinking. Stop asking for permission. Command the life you were meant for. You don't need approval, you need fire. A burning desire that roars so loud your excuses run for cover. Small minds will try to shame you for dreaming big. Let them. You're not here to please doubters. You're here to dominate your lane with relentless intensity. Smallness has no power unless you feed it. Starve it. Replace it with vision so strong it yanks you out of bed with urgency every single morning. That's the energy required, nothing less. You must build an iron belief in yourself, not borrowed confidence, not fake hype. A real, grounded, unshakable knowing that you are capable of more, and that you will get it. This belief isn't given to you. You forge it in silence. You build it through action. Every time you follow through, every time you show up when it's hard, every time you do what others won't, your belief compounds. Stack it daily until doubt dies. From this point forward, hesitation is your enemy. Boldness is your weapon. Decide and act. Don't look around. Don't seek validation. Move. The universe responds to clarity and speed. Opportunities don't come to the hesitant. They come to the hungry. You cannot tiptoe into greatness. You charge into it like your life depends on it, because it does. The time for delay has expired. You are no longer available for average. Fear has no seat in your new life. It was useful once, but now it's a weight. Cut it. Whether it's fear of failure, rejection, judgment, it's all fiction. False walls built by a past you've outgrown. You are not here to be liked. You are here to lead. You are not here to blend in. You are here to build a legacy that echoes. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's choosing to move in spite of it. Train that muscle until it becomes automatic. You will be tested. You will face resistance. Good. That's the currency of greatness. Welcome it, lean into it, use it. Every obstacle is an invitation to prove that you're serious. Most give up because they think it's supposed to be easy, not you. You persist where others quit. You endure what others avoid. You finish what you start. That's the difference. That's how giants are made. Finally, understand this. Every result you have in life started in your mind. Every limit, every breakthrough, every transformation, it was born in thought. You must think bigger. Speak bigger. Walk like it's already yours. Own your vision. See it daily. Speak it boldly. Act on it like time is running out, because it is. Greatness isn't given. It's taken by those bold enough to claim it and relentless enough to keep it. Now decide. The small version of you is dead. Bury it, and never look back. Definiteness of purpose is the starting point of all greatness. And without it, no amount of talent, hustle, or ambition will ever create lasting impact. You must know exactly what you want with the precision of a laser. Not a vague wish, but a defined, locked-in mission so clear that every cell in your body aligns with it. This is not a suggestion. It's the first non-negotiable requirement to stop playing small forever. You cannot afford to live another day aimless, distracted, pulled by opinions, or trapped in the fog of indecision. People who drift without a clear target become slaves to circumstances. They chase trends, mimic others, and wonder why nothing sticks. But those who define their purpose rise like giants among the crowd. They don't ask, they declare. They don't hope, they execute. They don't shrink, they expand. Right now, you must stop lying to yourself about what you want. Strip away the fear. Kill the excuses. Silence the noise. Ask yourself, what do I truly, relentlessly, unapologetically want to become, build, impact, achieve? Not what others expect of you, not what's reasonable, not what's safe, but what sets you on fire, what keeps you up at night, what burns inside you so fiercely that smallness becomes physically unbearable. When you find that, you lock onto it like a predator and never let go. No more wandering, no more settling for good enough. You choose your target, and you move with intensity that refuses to be ignored. This kind of clarity becomes your compass. It tells you what to say yes to and what to burn to the ground. It shows you which people belong in your vision and which ones don't. It gives your time meaning. It gives your energy direction. It makes your days sharper, your choices bolder, your presence stronger. Purpose is not a mood. It's not emotional. It's a decision forged in self-respect. It's the realization that you were not born to take up space. You were born to conquer something. Until you declare exactly what that is, life will hand you distractions disguised as opportunities. You'll confuse movement with progress. You'll work hard and stay broke. You'll stay busy but remain invisible. But the moment you lock into a definite purpose, the universe shifts. Doors start opening. People take notice. Energy aligns. Not because of luck, but because you finally got specific. General thoughts lead to general results. Vague goals produce vague lives. But absolute clarity, combined with ruthless focus, is magnetic. It pulls resources. It commands respect. It makes you powerful beyond measure. You must become obsessed with where you're going. This isn't about passion. This is about mission. Passion comes and goes. Purpose stays. You wake up with it. You go to war with it. It becomes who you are. And when it's real, when it's deeply embedded in your identity, you will stop entertaining smallness automatically. You won't need pep talks or motivation. You'll move like you're possessed. You'll stop explaining yourself to people who can't see the vision. You'll stop justifying your hunger. You'll stop diluting your voice to keep others comfortable. Playing small will start to feel like a betrayal, and it is, because you weren't born to fit in. You were born to take over your lane, and you can't do that drifting. You do that with direction, with fire, with a level of conviction that silences all distractions. You can build your life in such a way that your results scream louder than any opinion ever could, but it starts with defining exactly what you are building. Not someday, not when it's convenient. Now, define it. Write it down. See it daily. Speak it until it becomes your normal, because you'll never rise above the level of clarity you possess. You can hustle all day and still go nowhere if your purpose is weak. You can grind for years and still stay small if your target is foggy. But with definiteness of purpose, your energy becomes clean. Your efforts become efficient. Your actions become lethal. You won't waste time chasing validation. You'll create your own standards. You'll become immune to the opinions of those who play life on mute. You'll scare people with how focused you are, and that's exactly how it should be. Playing small becomes impossible when your purpose is massive, clear, and immovable. Decide now, set the intention, burn the alternative, build from the fire, because clarity is the root of power, and once you have it, the world has no choice but to move out of your way. Burning desire is the spark that separates the dreamers from the doers, and until you light that internal fire so intensely that nothing can put it out, you will continue to live a life far beneath your potential. It is not enough to want success casually, not enough to say you'd like to win, not enough to make mild goals and hope for progress someday when conditions improve or timing feels right, because life does not reward lukewarm intentions. It only responds to relentless obsession, the kind of obsession that consumes your thoughts, sharpens your actions, and eliminates all distractions in its path, the kind that makes failure irrelevant, because the vision is so massive, so alive, so embedded in your being that you would rather die in pursuit of it than stay stuck in the mediocrity you were never meant for. You must stop flirting with your goals and start committing to them. Like your future depends on it, because it does. No more dabbling, no more halfway effort, no more waiting for perfect conditions or the approval of small-minded people who gave up on themselves long ago and now expect you to do the same. You must rise from that mental cage and decide that your desire to win will burn hotter than every fear, every doubt, every limitation that once held you captive, And you must feed that desire daily, not occasionally when you feel motivated, but religiously like it's oxygen. This isn't a game, it's your life, and you've got one shot at building something extraordinary. You either fuel that fire inside of you, or you let it die quietly, unnoticed, while the world moves on. Without ever knowing what you could have been, that's the brutal truth, and it should scare you, because if that fire doesn't burn with intensity, you will find yourself living by default instead of by design, following the path of least resistance, obeying limits that were never yours to begin with, doing just enough to survive but never enough to thrive. And all of it will happen because your desire was never strong enough to demand more people will tell you to be realistic, to slow down, to be grateful for what you already have. And while gratitude matters, it should never replace the hunger to evolve. You can be thankful and still be relentless. You can appreciate today and still be obsessed with building something bigger. And if your desire is real, you will never confuse comfort with success. You will never let temporary pleasure rob you of permanent power, because desire keeps you sharp, it keeps you moving, it keeps you dangerous. In a world full of passive people waiting for permission, you need to fall in love with the process, with the grind, with the boring, hard, repetitive, thankless work that no one claps for, because that's where desire is tested. Not in your vision board, not in your social media captions, but in the dark corners of your life where no one is watching, and the only thing pushing you forward is the fire inside your chest, whispering, keep going, don't stop, not now, not ever. That's what separates lions from sheep, leaders from followers, legends from the forgotten. You must make your desire louder than your excuses, louder than your fears, louder than the distractions trying to seduce you back into mediocrity, because if you don't, you'll break every promise you ever made to yourself. You'll start strong but quit early. You'll blame the world for outcomes that were actually the result of your lack of commitment, and you'll tell yourself stories to justify your comfort while your dreams die silently inside your mind. When you truly desire something, nothing can stop you, not rejection, not failure, not fatigue, not setbacks, because those things aren't roadblocks, they're fuel. And the deeper your desire burns, the more you use every obstacle as leverage. Every no becomes a reason to fight harder. Every loss becomes a lesson you weaponize. Every detour becomes a story that sharpens your edge. And with every step, your desire grows until it becomes so undeniable that even the world starts to bend to your will. This is about deciding that your dream is non-negotiable. That average is not an option. That success isn't something you try for. It's something you declare war on and take without asking, because that's what it takes to rise, that's what it takes to live full, and that's what it takes to die empty. And if you're not willing to burn for it, then don't expect to earn it, because desire is the gateway to greatness. And only those who are willing to pay the full price ever get to see how high they were truly meant to fly. You must protect that desire at all costs, because people will try to talk you out of it. Life will try to distract you from it. Time will try to steal it from you, and comfort will try to suffocate it slowly until you forget you ever had it in the first place. But if you guard it, if you feed it daily with action, belief, and obsession, then it becomes the fire that forges your future, the force that turns your potential into power, and the voice that reminds you in every hard moment that you were born for more and you are willing to do whatever it takes to become. Faith in self is the invisible force that makes the impossible possible. And until you believe with unshakable certainty that you are the one, nothing outside of you will ever align. You can have the talent, the plan, the tools, and even the opportunity, but if you do not believe that you deserve to win, you will sabotage everything you touch. You will find ways to delay, doubt, and destroy the very things you once prayed for, not because you're incapable, but because you haven't built the internal foundation required to carry greatness. And that foundation is absolute faith in your ability to figure it out, fight through it, rise beyond it, and finish what you start, no matter what you have to decide. Right now, that you are done negotiating with your own potential, done waiting for someone else to validate your worth, done playing the game of hesitation while the clock keeps ticking and your shot at legacy slips away quietly through your own disbelief. It's not the world that's holding you back. It's the story you keep telling yourself about who you are, what you can do, and whether or not you deserve to take up space, take the lead, and take what's yours with full authority. And the truth is, nothing will shift outside of you. Until something shifts within you, no one is coming to give you permission to become powerful. No one is going to hand you belief on a silver platter. You don't get faith handed down to you from parents, teachers, or friends. You build it through fire. You build it through keeping your word to yourself even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. Win. You do what you said you were going to do long after the mood is past. When you show up when no one claps. When you push through the pain and make the process your home, that's when faith begins to grow, not as some magical confidence, but as earned certainty. You don't need to feel ready. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to decide that you will not quit, that you will not back down, that you will not continue treating yourself like a second-class citizen in your own life. This is your territory, and you must claim it with the kind of belief that doesn't waver in the face of setbacks, because they will come. But when your faith is real, you stop seeing setbacks as signs to quit and start seeing them as tests to pass, tools to sharpen you, gifts in disguise that show you where to grow. There is a version of you who already has everything you want, but you'll never meet them. If you keep doubting the one you are today, the world does not respond to people who hesitate. It responds to people who walk into every room like they belong. They're people who speak like they expect to win, move like they already own it, and act as if their vision is inevitable, not because they're arrogant, but because they've trained their mind to believe it, to expect it, to create it through sheer focus and consistency. You must become your own proof, your own reason, your own source of belief. Stop waiting for signs. Stop collecting opinions. Stop looking for outside affirmation. The only way out is through, and the only way through is to decide that you will back yourself completely. Even when no one else does, especially when no one else does, because the world mirrors back what you send into it. Doubt creates hesitation, belief creates momentum, and once you lock in on who you really are, the world has no choice but to respond. Every great move begins with the sentence, I believe I can. Not I hope, not I wish, not I'll try, but I believe. With everything in me that I can and I will. And once you live from that place, your actions start to match your intention. Your habits rise to the level of your identity. Your decisions stop playing defense and start going on offense. You stop shrinking to fit and start expanding to dominate. Not from ego, but from alignment with the truth that you were. Built for more, and you are no longer willing to lie to yourself by acting small. People will try to tell you to slow down, to be humble, to keep it safe, and you must smile and move forward anyway, not to prove them wrong, but to prove yourself right. Because every time you choose faith over fear, you silence the internal critic and amplify the internal leader. And that leader must run your life from this moment forward. Because the critic has had enough airtime, enough control, enough influence, and it has led you nowhere but back to the loop of hesitation, delay, and wasted time. It ends today with the decision to stop entertaining the voice of limitation and start feeding the voice of belief, the one that says you were made for impact. That says you've already survived the hardest parts. That says if you commit fully and stop doubting halfway through the climb, everything you want will bend. In your direction, you must hold the vision even when you don't yet hold the result. You must trust the process even when the evidence isn't there yet, because belief is not about current facts. It's about future truth that hasn't shown up yet, but will if you keep going. Faith in self is not a motivational phrase. It's the root of everything. It's the reason. Some people rise from nothing while others stay stuck with everything they need. It's the difference between potential and performance, between quitting and breaking through, and you will never rise higher than the belief you carry about yourself. So you must make it non-negotiable. Train it daily, speak it loudly, embody it fully, and live from it relentlessly, because when you truly believe in who you are and what you are capable of, the game changes. Permanently decisive action is the bridge between desire and reality, and until you move with bold execution, all your goals will remain locked in theory. Collecting dust while life passes you by, you can visualize, plan, journal, and meditate all you want, but without action, fast, fearless, decisive action, you are simply rehearsing success without ever stepping into it, because nothing changes until you do, and every second you hesitate is a second wasted in the land of potential. Instead of the field of progress, you must kill indecision before it kills your momentum, because the ones who win in life are not always the smartest or most talented, but they are always the ones who move when others pause, decide when others overthink, and act when others talk. It's not about waiting for the perfect plan or the ideal moment. It's about moving now and figuring it out as you go. Because clarity doesn't come from thought alone. It comes from movement. Real movement. Messy movement. The kind that scares you but also frees you. The kind that separates dreamers from doers. Winners from watchers. Leaders from talkers. And every time you take action in the direction of your goal, you send a message to your mind, to your body, and to the world that you are serious, that you are committed, that you are not here to play. Small or ask for permission, you must stop waiting for certainty, because certainty is the reward of the bold, not the precondition of bravery. Most people live trapped by analysis, paralyzed by fear, trying to calculate every variable before taking the first step. But high performers know that life rewards the ones who jump, not the ones who sit on the edge, wondering what could go wrong. When you act with decisiveness, you force growth, you collapse time, and you move faster than the fear that tries to hold you back. Indecision is the silent killer of dreams. It wears the mask of wisdom but delivers nothing but delay, regret, and missed opportunities. Every day you spend stuck in hesitation is a day you could have been building something real, creating leverage, stacking wins, and growing through experience. Instead of thinking in circles, you must become addicted to forward motion, obsessed with finishing, ruthless about doing, because action is the ultimate proof of belief, and no one, not even yourself, will believe in your mission if all you ever do is plan and pause. It's not about being reckless, it's about being relentless, moving with purpose even when the path isn't perfect. Because most of the greatest things in life are built mid-storm, not in calm waters. Progress happens in the arena, not in the stands, and while the world waits, you must lead by deciding, doing, adapting, and repeating. That's how momentum is built, one decision at a time, one step at a time, stacking action on action, until your results become too loud to be ignored. The moment you hesitate, doubt creeps in, and the longer you wait, the stronger it becomes. That's why action must be immediate, because speed kills fear and builds confidence. And you don't need massive action all at once. You need consistent, decisive movement, daily, hourly, relentlessly, until you stop thinking like a maybe and start moving like a must. Because when you treat your vision like an emergency, everything starts to shift, people respond differently, opportunities open, energy increases, and the path begins to reveal itself. Every breakthrough you've ever wanted is hidden behind a decision you've been avoiding, and the longer you avoid it, the heavier it gets. But the second you decide, you take back your power, because the pain of action is temporary, but the pain of regret is permanent, and far too many people die with their potential still inside of them, not because they weren't capable, but because they chose comfort over movement, delay over commitment, safety over legacy. You must make a habit of execution, not just when it's easy, not just when you feel like it, but especially when it's uncomfortable, because that's when the real progress is made, in the discomfort, in the discipline, in the doing. Every time you finish what you start, you train your mind to believe in you, and that belief becomes the fuel that carries you through every hard season, every storm, every setback, because you've proven to yourself that no matter what, you will move forward. Success is not for the passive, it's for the ones who decide fast and move hard, who see fear and go anyway, who don't need perfect conditions to start or applause to continue. They build in silence, act with speed, and win through sheer consistency. And while others are still trying to figure it out, they're already 10 moves ahead, not because they had better circumstances, but because they made faster decisions and took bolder steps. You must become the kind of person who moves without waiting, who executes without excuse, who decides without apology, because that kind of energy is rare and it's powerful. It's what separates people who talk about changing their lives from those who actually do it. And when you live like that, the world cannot ignore you, because your results speak louder than any words ever could from this moment forward every time. You feel the pull to hesitate, choose to act instead, build that muscle, sharpen that edge, become dangerous through discipline, unstoppable through movement, and legendary through your ability to do what others delay, because decisive action is not just a habit, it's a weapon. And when you use it, you stop being a spectator of your life and start becoming the architect of your destiny. Mastery of fear begins the moment you stop negotiating with it and start dominating it, because fear is not meant to be obeyed. It is meant to be conquered. Everyone feels fear, but only a rare few learn to use it as fuel, to stand face to face with the emotion and walk forward anyway, while the masses retreat into the illusion of safety. The few who rise understand that fear is not the enemy. It is the compass pointing to where your greatest growth lives. And if you refuse to confront it, you refuse to evolve, to expand, to lead, and to live on the level your calling demands. You will never eliminate fear, but you can eliminate its control over your decisions. And that begins by recognizing fear for what it is: a signal, not a stop sign, an invitation to move, not a command to freeze. Because fear is loudest at the edge of your next breakthrough. It screams loud when you're about to do something that matters, something that will shift you permanently. And if you listen to it, you'll retreat back into patterns you already hate, into cycles of self-sabotage that dress themselves up as logic and practicality. But underneath it all, it's just fear wearing a suit. You cannot afford to keep letting fear dictate your moves, because every time you choose fear, you shrink. And every time you shrink, you teach your nervous system that small is safe. You reinforce the identity of hesitation. And before long, you're living a life that's smaller than your soul, not because the opportunity wasn't there, but because fear convinced you to sit when you were born to rise. And that habit, if left unchecked, becomes permanent. A quiet death you carry with you every day you play below your potential. You have to look your fears in the eye and ask one question: what is it really costing me to stay afraid? How many years have I lost playing small? How many doors have I never opened? How much energy have I wasted protecting a comfort zone that never really kept me safe? And once you feel the truth of that question, you will either rise or remain, and those who rise know that the only way to master fear is to move into it, not away from it, to train yourself to lean into the resistance instead of running from it, because what you avoid controls you, but what you face, you. Eventually, master fear is not real in the sense you think. It is imagination in the wrong direction. It is your mind projecting disaster onto a future that hasn't happened, creating worst-case scenarios instead of best-case possibilities. And once you understand that fear is often just your creativity working against you, you can take back the reins and aim it where it belongs. Toward vision, toward belief, toward execution, toward dominance. And this is not about being fearless, it's about being fear-trained, about knowing that courage isn't the absence of fear, it's the decision to move despite it. The greatest shift happens when you decide that your mission is more important than your comfort, that your vision is louder than your fear, that your future is worth every ounce of temporary discomfort, because comfort is a liar. It whispers to you that safety is success, but all it really delivers is regret. And those who master fear are the ones who would rather feel the burn of growth than the numbness of playing small. They run toward resistance because they understand that everything they want is on the other side of it, and they are willing to suffer forward instead of shrink backward. You must start seeing fear as a weight room, not a wall, something you train in daily. Something you step into on purpose, because every time you move through fear, you collect proof that you're more powerful than you thought. You expand your identity, you shift your inner dialogue, and you build the kind of unshakable internal muscle that no failure, no rejection, no setback can break. And the more reps you put in, the less fear owns you, until one day you look back and realize that the fears that once caged you are now the fuel that propels you. This requires practice, repetition, intensity, and daily decisions. It requires speaking even when your voice shakes, moving even when your knees tremble, showing up even when your mind screams run. And the more you Do that, the more fear becomes a familiar guest instead of a controlling dictator. It might still show up, but it no longer gets a vote, no longer gets a say, no longer stops your progress, and eventually you stop reacting and start responding, not from panic, but from power. People will call you brave, but you'll know the truth. You're not brave because you feel no fear. You're brave because you act anyway, because you've trained your mind to follow purpose over panic. And that kind of mindset is rare, it's dangerous, it's powerful, and it separates leaders from followers, legends from average, builders from bystanders, because most people will never master fear. They will live with it, obey it, accommodate it, and call it wisdom, while the few who rise will walk through it and call it training. The next level of your life is on the other side of a fear you've been avoiding, and no one can cross that threshold but you. And every second you delay, the cost goes up. Lost momentum, lost time, lost self-respect, and it will not go away until you face it, crush it, and prove to yourself once and for all that fear may visit, but it does not control. And the second you make that shift, you reclaim your power, your purpose, your pace, and your path forward, because when fear no longer runs your life, nothing can stop you from becoming exactly who you were born to be. Relentless persistence is the weapon that separates those who merely start from those who finish, because no dream is ever handed to the weak-willed or soft-hearted. It is earned through grind, earned through grit, earned through a level of consistency that does not flinch in the face of resistance. You can have talent, vision, drive, and a plan, but if you don't have the stamina to keep going after the applause dies, after the excitement fades, after it stops being fun, then you will never see what's truly possible for you, because the climb is long and only the relentless ever make it to the top. You must train yourself to keep showing up when no one is watching, keep executing when no one believes, keep pushing when your body says quit, keep grinding when your mind starts building exit strategies. Because this is not about motivation. This is about commitment. It's about showing up regardless of mood, regardless of obstacles, regardless of setbacks, and that kind of persistence is rare. It's not convenient, it's not popular, but it is the secret weapon of every person who has ever turned impossible into inevitable. You've got to fall in love with the repetition, fall in love with the monotony, fall in love with the process of doing the work day after day, because it's in the doing, not the dreaming, that greatness is built. Most people quit because they mistake slow progress for failure. But the relentless understand that progress is not always loud, not always obvious, not always exciting. It's in the daily reps, the silent wins, the unseen battles that no one claps for, but that's where mastery is built, in the trenches, not the spotlight. When you commit to relentless persistence, you make a decision that no matter how long it takes, how hard it gets, or how far you have to go, you are in it until the end. That kind of mindset is dangerous because it cannot be reasoned with, cannot be shaken by critics, cannot be moved by delay, because it is built on the foundation of will, not emotion. It is not concerned with how it feels. It is only concerned with what it has committed to do, and it will not stop until it is done. There will be days when you doubt yourself, days when the vision feels distant, days when it seems like nothing is working, and those are the days that count the most, because anyone can move when it's easy. Anyone can grind when the fire is fresh, but what do you do when it's hard, when it's dark, when it's lonely, when your mind whispers lies about how you'll never make it? That's the test, and the relentless pass it, not because they don't feel the weight, but because they've trained themselves to move under it, to push through it, to rise because of it. You have to decide that you are not available for quitting, not available for excuses, not available for waiting on the perfect moment. You move now, you push now, you act now, because the world does not reward the ones who almost did it. It rewards the ones who refuse to give up no matter what came against them, and if you want to join those ranks, you must earn it. Through fire, through pain, through resilience that does not break under pressure, but sharpens because of it. The ones who win are not the most gifted. They are the ones who kept going long after others gave up. They kept riding, kept building, kept creating, kept fighting, kept working the plan, even when the results weren't there yet. And eventually the world had no choice but to make room for them. Because persistence wears down resistance. It breaks walls. It opens doors. It forces momentum. It creates opportunity where none existed before, and it does this not through magic but through movement, through consistency, through daily effort that compounds into unstoppable force you must become immune to. The seduction of comfort, because comfort is the killer of momentum, it whispers that you've done enough, that you should slow down, that it's okay to take your foot off the gas. But if you're truly relentless, you don't listen to that voice. You silence it with action. You override it with purpose. You bury it under the weight of your daily commitment. And you keep pushing because you've made a promise to yourself and you refuse to break it. There is no fallback plan, no backup identity, no safety net that makes quitting an option. You've burned the boats, burned the bridges, and committed fully, completely, without apology, because relentless persistence is not a strategy, it is an identity, it is who you are, at your core, and when you live from that level, obstacles become part of the story, not the end of it. Setbacks become scenes in your journey, not the full script, because nothing can stop a person who has decided that they will never stop from this moment forward. You move with the conviction that you will outlast everything that tries to break you. You will show up long after the motivated have disappeared, long after the interested have quit, long after the dabblers have faded, because you are not interested in trying. You are here to dominate, to finish, to complete what you started, and to show the world what happens when someone decides that nothing will ever be enough to make them quit. Because relentless persistence is how you stop playing small, how you rise to the top, and how you earn the right to live the life you were born for. The power of the mind is the most lethal force you possess, and until you learn to command it, you will remain a prisoner of your own limitations. Not because life held you back, but because your thoughts did. Everything begins in the mind. The clarity, the belief, the discipline, the identity, the energy, the vision. All of it is either forged or fractured by the way you think, and if your mind isn't trained for domination, it will default to survival, it will shrink your capacity, blur your purpose, sabotage your decisions, and convince you to play small even. While greatness screams inside of you, your reality is nothing more than a mirror of your internal dialogue, because your thoughts become your standards become your habits, and your habits build your destiny. This is why high achievers obsess over mental control, because they understand that nothing outside will ever shift until the inside is. Mastered, they do not allow their thoughts to wander aimlessly. They program them with precision, speak into their future with certainty, and train their subconscious to obey. Vision over circumstance, discipline over emotion, and execution over excuse. You must realize that your brain does not care about your dreams. It cares about your survival. And if left untrained, it will talk you out of everything powerful, everything new, everything that challenges your identity, because the mind will always seek comfort unless you force it to seek conquest. And the moment you accept this truth is the moment you stop being controlled by doubt, hesitation, fear, and insecurity, and you begin the real work, not of changing your situation first, but of reconditioning your mind to expect more, demand more, and tolerate nothing less than domination. Most people never understand how powerful they truly are because they never take control of the mechanism creating their results. They chase tactics, chase strategies, chase motivation, while their inner world remains weak, distracted, diluted, unfocused, and because of that, they build nothing lasting. They rise and fall, start and stop, move and collapse, because they never did the foundational work of aligning their thoughts with their purpose and their beliefs with their behavior. But the ones who rise to the top build from the inside out. They get their mind right first, and everything else becomes inevitable. You've got to train your thoughts like an athlete trains their body every day, with intensity, with repetition, with intention, because thoughts, left unchecked, turn into stories, and stories become identity. And once you accept a weak identity, you live in accordance with it. So if you're telling yourself you're tired, you'll act tired. If you keep thinking you're behind, you'll move like a failure. But if you think like a winner, like a savage, like someone who refuses to lose, your body will follow. Your results will follow. and your environment will eventually have no choice but to bend to the strength of your mind. You are not weak. You've just been practicing weak. Thinking and practice makes permanent, so it's time to rewire. Time to delete the old programming that told you to doubt yourself, delay your vision, fear judgment, and settle for less, because your mind was never meant to shrink. It was meant to build, create, expand, and elevate everything you touch. But you have to put it on a leash and point it toward the life you're meant to live. Feed it faith, feed it focus, feed it discipline, and starve it of fear, starve it of noise, starve it of the stories that told you you're not enough. Every powerful life is built first in the unseen, in the mental fortress that nobody can take from you, because your circumstances might shake, your external resources might run out. But if your mind is strong, nothing can stop you, because your thoughts will always find a way, build a door, crush the wall, and rise again. That is what the mentally dominant do. They don't hope for conditions to change. They condition their mind until it dominates the conditions. And that is a different level of strength, one that the world cannot compete with, because it's not dependent on anything, but you've got to discipline your focus, because what you focus on expands. And if your mind is always focused on what's missing, what's wrong, what's slow, then your entire life will reflect that scarcity. But if you train your mind to lock in on progress, on growth, on vision, then even your struggles will serve you. Even your setbacks will strengthen you, because your perspective becomes your power. And once you understand that, you stop waiting for motivation and start building momentum from your own thoughts alone. Control the internal and you control the external. But if the internal is weak, chaotic, and filled with doubt, then no tactic, no course, no strategy will ever work long term. So you must become the kind of person who protects their mind like a warrior guards a kingdom. Nothing gets in without permission. No fear gets to speak unless it has earned a seat at the table. And no thought is allowed to live inside you if it doesn't align with the future you're building, because every thought is a seed. And you must choose what grows inside your head, or life will choose for you from this moment forward. Your job is not just to act, it's to think like the person you are becoming, to align your thoughts with your highest standard, to speak as if the victory is already yours. Because when the mind believes deeply, the body will endure, the energy will rise, and the world will respond. And the moment you own that truth is the moment you stop playing small, stop doubting your power, stop entertaining mediocrity, and start operating like someone who understands that the most powerful force on earth is not money, not status, not opportunity. It is a mind on fire, focused, disciplined, and completely unwilling to lose. And so understand this with final clarity. Your future is not waiting for permission, it is waiting for decision, and that decision begins in your mind, the source of every breakthrough, every transformation, every relentless pursuit that changes your life from average to unstoppable. You were never meant to live confined by doubt, hesitation, fear, or false stories that told you to shrink. You were meant to rise, to dominate, to move with purpose so undeniable that failure becomes irrelevant and quitting becomes impossible. The shift is now. The mindset is yours to control. The time for playing small is over. From this day forward, you walk as the one who decided to never turn back, never slow down, never doubt again. Relentless, focused, unshakable. Your mind is your power. Own it completely, and the world will follow.